Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria, and today we're going to be talking about some super badass fiery heroines. So before we start this video, I do want to apologize if you can hear a dog barking. My two neighbors near me have their dogs outside and they've been barking for the last hour, so I apologize if you can hear it in the background. It's incredibly annoying. This is the time I've got to film though. So, moving into the actual video, this is going to be talking about some super badass heroines. These are all heroines who've got kind of a bad attitude at times. They are super fiery. They are prickly, sassy, even sometimes to the point of bitchy, if not more than just sometimes bitchy. And this is the kind of heroine that drives like a lot of people crazy. It's not a lot of people's favorite heroine, but it's my favorite heroine. I love these heroines. The heroines that don't take shit. They always talk back. They give their heroes a run for their money. They are constantly putting up walls and locking themselves off to people outside. They are a act first, think later type character who drives people around them crazy. And when you're reading a book like this with a heroine who's so closed off and yet so fiery, it can be so frustrating as a reader, but frustrating in a good way. Kind of like when you're reading like a slow burn and you're so like, come on, get together, get together. That's how I feel when I'm reading books with these kind of female characters, because they have so many walls up that the heroes really need to break down their walls, get underneath their skin in order to get them to accept the fact that they love each other. These heroes are, these types of heroines are also constantly put with heroes who have like a very specific personality trait, which is like a lot of them are heroes that things kind of just bounce right off of them. They aren't going to get offended by somebody talking shit about them, or if somebody being bitchy to them. Like they're very cool, calm, collected, usually very fun, outspoken, and just enjoyable heroes who are just used to having a good time. And then they come across these heroines who just make them work, and it makes them so frustrated, and it's some of my favorite things ever in romance. So I have quite a few, because I tend, like I said, these are my favorite heroines, so these are the books I tend to be drawn to. Books with these kinds of heroines tend to be my favorite. So I have quite a few, so we're gonna get into it. So the first one that I want to talk about is the epitome of a bitchy, fiery heroine, and that is Nesta Archeron from A Court of Silver Flames, or the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. Nesta, from the time that you meet her in A Court of Thorns and Roses, she has so many walls up. She is so bitchy. She is so fiery. She just is not having it for people to talk down to her, for people to think that they're better than her, for people to underestimate her, and so many people do underestimate her. But when she meets Cassian in, I think they meet in A Court of Mist and Fury. I could be wrong about that, but I think they meet in A Court of Mist and Fury. When they meet then, he is almost immediately there to stick up for her. She doesn't want him to. She doesn't want him to stick up for her. He tries to act as a bodyguard, which she does not want. He places himself directly in her path, and it frustrates her. but also intrigues her because she hasn't come across a person who does this. So the book that is actually their romance is A Court of Silver Flames, but I think that Nesta as a character, you would understand her so much more if you read the ACOTAR first 3 books in the series before you read this one. But this is her and Cassian's like full HEA love story type book. This book deals so much with Nesta's trauma that she endures in the 3rd book in the series, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin. She goes through something incredibly traumatic, and they have a war in A Court of Wings and Ruin, and she has things done to her against her will. She does things for the sake of the war that need to be done, but afterwards she goes into fits of depression. She has PTSD, she has severe anxiety, and she is falling apart when it gets to this book. And she has almost lost her spirit and her fiery attitude. She's just straight up a bitch now, or that's how she treats other people because she is so broken inside. And Cassian takes the time in this book to really break down her walls, work through her trauma, help her overcome all that she's endured. And it is an incredible story, and I love Nesta so much. I have been the kind of person who has loved Nesta since the beginning, but I really learn to love her and how much strength she actually has in this book, and it's fantastic. Next one is Riona Griffin from Broken Vow by Sophie Lark. This book is part of the Brutal Birthright series. You could probably read this as a standalone. I read them in order and would recommend reading them in order, but you don't actually have to. If you read just this one, I think you would understand. But Riona Griffin is a closed off, doesn't really do love or emotions very well. She's a workaholic. She doesn't really see the point in doing things like that social things with your family or with people you care about, having friends. That's not really her. She is a severe workaholic. She is works incredibly hard to be considered useful and helpful and part of the family in a mafia, male-dominated world. She's a lawyer, and she works very hard to be a very successful lawyer and help her family, who are in the Irish mob, or who are the Irish mob, to really have things help whenever she can. And in this book, she ends up being attacked by someone, and she finds out that somebody has put a hit on her. She is in severe danger. Somebody is trying to kill her. And she is scared. She's scared by that, and she doesn't like that because she doesn't like to feel weak. She doesn't want to be vulnerable. But she meets Rylan, who becomes her bodyguard, and they have to spend so much time together because he's her bodyguard, and he really breaks down her walls, sees through to her vulnerabilities, to her insecurities, to who she is underneath the mask of no emotions, and they work so well together. Raylan is very much like Cassian, where he is a flirt. He's a go with the flow. He is a fun hero. And he is so intrigued by this woman who doesn't want to flirt back with him, who gets under his skin and who fights with him, and he needs that in his romance. Next one is Paige from The Marriage Effect by Carlissa Renson. Paige is, this is a contemporary marriage of convenience. Paige wants to have access to her inheritance but needs to be married, and Logan needs to be married for his own reasons in order to keep custody of his 4 younger sisters. And so Paige and him get married. Logan is a professional football player, and so even though he does have custody of his 4 younger sisters, he's still a professional football player, and that takes him away for quite a lot of time throughout the year. And so Paige ends up becoming the surrogate mother figure to these 4 younger girls. And one of them, I mean, like, their ages are like, they're not like super young, but they're like from 10 years old to like 16 years old or something like that. And so Paige moves into the house and becomes the surrogate mother for these 4 girls. But Paige has her own way of parenting that's incredibly different than Logan. And she has to find her own place in the house where she's not overstepping, but where she's like, this is my job now. This is my right, I guess. This is what you wanted me to do as your wife, to take care of these girls, and I'm gonna do it my way because you're not here. And she plays pranks on them, and while they try and play pranks on her, it's like a Parent Trap situation where the girls are like not happy she's there, so they play ridiculous pranks on her. But instead of like getting angry at them, she just pranks them right back, and she is a take no shit kind of heroine. And this is works very well when it comes to Logan, who is trying to keep their marriage platonic, and Paige is not into that. Paige is like, I know what I want, we're married, and I'm gonna get what I want. And so she basically like seduces Logan, and uses what she's got access to to get what she wants. And it's great. The next one that I want to recommend is Kara from Chasing Her Fire by Claire Kingsley. This is a surprise pregnancy romance, and it's enemies to lovers. I think Logan is the hero's name. But Logan Bailey and Kara do not get along. Logan is an annoying flirt, and Kara has a lot of walls up, and they just do not get along. But they have a drunken one-night stand, which results in Kara becoming pregnant, and Logan becomes 100% invested in having this child. He moves into her house, and he becomes so dutiful and attentive throughout her pregnancy, and throughout anything she needs throughout the pregnancy, anything that has to do with the baby, he's like all in for. He's like, this is my kid and I'm going to take care of it. And that includes taking care of you while you're pregnant. And Kara has never had somebody take care of her like this before in her life. She does not have a good relationship with her mother. Her father left when she was quite young, so she doesn't have a relationship with him at all. She's a very bad relationship with her mother, and her grandparents have died, and they were basically the ones who raised her, but in a very unfeeling type way. They were very wealthy, and they did not really do emotions. And so Kara does not really understand the idea of somebody caring for her other than like the one person that she's let in, which is her best friend. But Logan really like gets under her skin and becomes somebody that she cares for, and becomes somebody that cares for her, and it's so different and new for her because Kara is so used to using this biting, fiery attitude that she has in order to keep people away from her, because she does not want to be damaged when they eventually let her down. The next one is Felicity from The Lucky Heart by Devney Perry. This book is a contemporary small town romance, and Felicity has moved away from her small town for 14 years. It's a second chance romance. And Silas, her hero, has never given up on her. He loves her and has loved her since the beginning. He loved her through her ex-boyfriend and all of the horrible things her ex-boyfriend did to her as he tried to help her as best he could. He loved her for the 14 years that she's been gone, and now that she's back, he is like determined to be with her. But she's not making it easy because she has so much guilt over everything that happened when they were younger. She just doesn't want to be hurt again. She doesn't want to hurt Silas again. And she uses her sass as a defense mechanism, very, very much so. And she has a lot of sass. And so whenever it comes to having deep conversations, or when people ask her about her emotions, or when she is put in a position that she doesn't want to be in, she uses her bite and her sass to get out of it, in that very almost to the point of bitchy way, where she just is like, I can't deal and I need you to not. And so she bites back when she feels threatened, and she feels threatened when she has to think about or deal with any really, really deep emotion. And so Silas really has to help her work through all the guilt that she has, and help her work through the fact that she is enough for him. She is perfect for him, and that she is the right person for him. The last one that I'm going to talk about in this video is Elena from When Heroes Fall by Gianna Darling. This is book 1 in the Anti-Heroes in Love duet. I have not read book 2, so I cannot speak on book 2, but I absolutely loved book 1. This one is a mafia romance that follows Elena, who is a lawyer who has a very black and white type viewpoint on the world. She is if you have committed a crime, if you break the law, you are a bad person. And Dante is part of the Italian mob, and he is put on trial, and Elena is required to defend him. She is his lawyer, and she doesn't know how to do that because she hates the mafia, and she thinks that immediately Dante is a bad person because he's in the mafia, because he's on trial, because he's committed crimes. But Dante really shakes up Elena's world when he widens her eyes to realize that the world is not so black and white, everything is in shades of gray, and that just because you commit a crime, just because you are just because you've broken the law does not mean that you are a bad person, does not mean that you don't have feelings, that you are not, that you don't care for people. And Elena is shook by this, and she does not want to feel this. She does not want to have her worldview broken. And she has so many walls up in order to guard that from her, because she's had men hurt her in the past so badly that she's like, I don't want Dante to be able to hurt her, to be able to shake her world up like that. And so she has so many walls, and she is the perfect fiery heroine. Gianna Darling in general writes very, very good fiery heroines who are combative, who stand up for themselves. Sophie Lark is another one. This is the reason why those two authors are some of my absolute favorite authors, because I love their heroines for their badassery, for their combativeness, for their ability to stand up for themselves and to fight back when they don't, when they want something. But yeah, these are all of the books that I've mentioned in this video are 5-star reads. They're some of my all-time favorite books, and I just love heroines like this who, I think it brings so much depth to the story. I think it brings so much to the romance as they get to know each other so much on such a deeper level because they are fighting their attraction so much, or denying their attraction so much. So I really, really love these types of stories. But that's going to be it for this video, so please let me know down below in the comments if you have any recommendations for me, if you liked this video, if you've read any of these books, if you like heroines like this. I'd love to talk about it in the comments. But that's going to be it, so please like this video if you liked it, subscribe so you can see more content from me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!